It had been a quiet morning. Katie discovered that if you lie in your bed and listen, the birds will tell you what kind of day it is. Orbie found out that sometimes when you jump down on the floor for the first time, it can be awfully cold in the toes. And they both learned that apple juice right after you brush your teeth doesn't taste that good. Katie and Orbie were setting out the train set. It started in Katie's room and wound all the way around to the hall. It looked fabulous. Katie was placing a tunnel over the track when Orbie stopped her. He thought the tunnel would look a whole lot better on the other side. Katie shook her head and told him that her idea was better. Orbie told her it was too bendy there, but Katie put it there anyway. When the train came around and tried to go through the tunnel, it hit the side of it and fell off the track. Orbie told Katie that it would really be better on the other side. And Katie looked at her best friend. Right now, at this very minute, he was making her angry. He was right about the tunnel, and that bugged Katie. Katie told him he could put it anywhere on the track that he wanted to because she wasn't playing anymore. She left the room, and Orbie, who was still holding the tunnel, didn't know what to think. Later at lunch, the two friends were sitting at the table. Dad gave them each a great big sandwich with layers of good things in them. Orbie smiled. I picked his up. He couldn't wait to taste it. Katie looked at hers. She had wanted a peanut butter sandwich. Even though she was hungry, she didn't eat the sandwich in front of her. She left it right on the plate. When Dad noticed, he pointed out that she could have a peanut butter sandwich any old day. Today it was something special. Orbie told her it was really good, but Katie stared at it. It wasn't peanut butter. After lunch, Yi Ping and Andy wanted to have a game of soccer, but Katie didn't really feel like it. They needed her to play because Orbie was only one person and each team needed two people. Katie just walked up the front steps and right into the house. She didn't want to. Orbie looked at Yi Ping and Andy. He shrugged his shoulders. He didn't know why Katie was feeling so grouchy. Mom was folding laundry and asked Katie if she could carry a load upstairs. Katie didn't even answer at first, then she told Mom she was busy. Mom was very surprised and asked her to help even though she was busy. Now, Katie did help, but the whole time she was feeling like she didn't want to. When the laundry was upstairs, Katie took her book and curled up in the living room chair. She read quietly for a while. It was better. No one was bothering her. At that very moment, Chance jumped up into her lap and surprised Katie. Katie felt very angry at Chance, but Chance didn't seem to notice. Chance rubbed against Katie and tickled her chin with her tail. It did make Katie laugh, and that's when Katie realized that she hadn't felt happy all day. She realized that Orbie had been right about the tunnel, and she wasn't very nice about it. She thought about the sandwich that actually did look delicious. She loved soccer and helping Mom with the laundry. And without a question, she was crazy about Chance. Katie wondered, why was she feeling so different? Maybe part of her was broken, the part that made her want to laugh. She took Chance to the front steps and watched her friends play soccer. Arthur had joined Orbie's team, and they were having a lot of fun. Katie watched, but she still didn't want to play. Maybe she would never be happy again. Just then, Mrs. Perrette walked up to the steps. She asked Katie why she wasn't playing with the others. Katie looked at her, and suddenly from inside her, a big rush of tears worked their way out. She didn't know why she wasn't playing, but she didn't feel happy anymore. Mrs. Perrette asked Katie what was wrong. Katie told her nothing, just that her happy part was broken. I think Mrs. Perrette knew how Katie was feeling because she told her that sometimes she felt the same way. Katie looked at her for a minute. She was always so happy and friendly. Why would she ever feel sad? Mrs. Perrette pointed out that Katie was always happy too. Katie shook her head. Not anymore. Mrs. Perrette lifted Katie's chin. She corrected Katie. Not right now, she said. Mrs. Perrette told Katie that sooner or later, everybody gets the blues. Katie looked at her skin. It didn't look blue. Mrs. Perrette laughed and told her that the blues were a kind of a sad, lost feeling, when nothing you do seems like the right thing. Katie nodded her head. That was happening to her right now. She told Katie that the most important thing to remember is that the blues don't last. She'll be feeling like her old self in no time. Katie very much liked the thought that she'd be back to normal. Mrs. Perrette smiled as she remembered something. Whenever she got the blues, she played a game. Usually Katie loved games, so she asked what it was. The first part of the game is this. You have to list 10 things that make you happy. Nothing made Katie happy right now. Mrs. Perrette told her it was 10 things that usually made her happy. Then you have to imagine how happy you would feel doing one of those things. At first, Katie couldn't think of anything, but slowly things popped into her mind, like being licked by Chance's prickly tongue. She thought of flying kites with Orbie, feeding the ducks, and eating made-to-order pancakes. She added hugging Mom, Dad, and Orbie, and drawing a really beautiful picture. And, well, all of a sudden, a smile was coming out. A happy feeling was creeping in, and Katie was beginning to feel more like her old self. It works, she said to Mrs. Perrette. Mrs. Perrette asked her to keep thinking. Katie loved people piles and roller skating, and, well, by this time, Katie was laughing and smiling. Mrs. Perrette told her she needed one more. Katie told Mrs. Perrette that she did have one more. She loved playing and laughing with all the special people in her life. She called thank you to Mrs. Perrette as she headed over to her friends. Mrs. Perrette smiled and waved and continued on inside. Now, I have to tell you that the next time Katie got the blues, it didn't last very long at all. And I really hope that if one day the blues come to visit you, you remember Mrs. Perrette's 10 good things. Because I happen to know, if you think about it, you have a whole lot more than 10 things in your life to make you happy again.